Hello and welcome to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. My name is Winona, and today I'm going to be playing Mad Lad, and I'm also here in the EGAD server for reasons to be relatively clear very soon, and I'm with the amazing, the lovely, the awesome.
You flatter me. It's yours truly. It's Carmichael, also known as Mikey, also known as the Transmask Maynad. Pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here with this lovely individual today. And today, we will be playing the 12 FPS Dinner Manners. Would you like to be the one to explain the concept behind this one, or would you like me to do the honors?
I think people would be able to say get to know what's going to be happening very quickly. It's based say I think we could just jump into this one. I think everyone's gonna have fun.
All right. And as for the introduction of my character, I will be playing Roguefort, the dinner critter fairy.
Indeed, and it's a lovely day out today. It is we pan into the EGAD Treehouse, where everything seems to be relatively calm. It's a beautiful sunny day. Birds are singing, flowers are blooming, and what's Roguefort doing today?
Well, Roguefort at this current time probably would just be cooking in the kitchen. Or in the very least, trying. I need to roll him a survival check real quick. Because he's just trying to actually get cooking practice under his belt proper. Just out of curiosity. And survival is oh, thank goodness he's proficient. That's a +5. First roll of the session. And so far he's not doing too badly, which is impressive considering he's trying to make macarons.
Yeah, I was gonna say macarons are definitely very hard, at least in my opinion, to make. But yeah, I think with a 60, he's doing a pretty good job at it.
Especially with the help of his swarm, at the moment more corporeal than ethereal, just for the sake of hanging out with him as his beloved pets, as his fellow swarm mates. Just you can just imagine their little crawly legs trying to help with ingredients and just holding things still.
Aw, that's adorable. Do you guys want to make a perception check?
Sure thing. And their perception check is his perception check, which is a +8, so. I'll also need to make a perception check for something else, but don't worry about it.
Hee hee.
Oh, a dirty 20, not
Ooh,
bad.
nice dirty 20.
Let me see if I can. Okay, there we go. There's the sheet. Okay. Uh, okay, so is a 14 +1 or +2?
14 is a +1 still because it goes on. Wait, it would be a +2 because it goes on odds.
Okay, so yeah, so that's a dirty 20 and a 16.
Yeah, I think Roguefort here's a first as it's a little bit farther in the distance into the treehouse, but you definitely hear the sound of crashing and banging around. You say the bugs hear it pretty quickly afterwards, but you're the one who first caught it.
Mm-hmm. Just those long ears just sort of bob and perk up and just sort of turn towards the sound. Almost cat-like, not quite.
Yeah,
And he turns away from assembling the macarons because he's in the assembly stage. The actual cooking stage is past.
yeah.
And just sort of he glances between the swarm, and as a hive mind, they just share the unanimous thought of danger. And he is immediate to just politely set his incomplete macarons aside. World's tiniest violin plays the distance. And very quickly and quietly is going to grab his gun, which he has on him at about all times, and I'm gonna roll stealth for him to approach the source of the sound. So that is a stealth check +4.
Yeah, and I will also say Roguefort is the only one who would know this detail in particular. He would notice that the sound is coming towards them.
Oh yeah, no, he's definitely going into stealth and getting his gun ready. The swarm is going ethereal. They're going into combat. Another dirty 20. You're getting all your good rolls out now, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
I will make a roll just to see if they even get to it. You never know. They just might roll. Say,
Mm-hmm.
I also gotta remind myself. Yes, that's connected to wisdom. Okay, it's a flat D20 for them. Ah, wrong one.
Yeah, no, I'm still getting used to it too.
Nope. Nope. Of course, this checks. They are baby. As you hear say, I look at this out
Mm-hmm.
because I like pictures. Pictures are nice. And why aren't? Oh yes, they're this way because this is a new laptop. I haven't fully organized everything yet.
I pat you on the back.
As as you guys hide, you first hear the chittering sound of a bug. You would definitely know that for sure. Hence,
Mm-hmm.
look, say I gestures to your whole swarm and everything, and a very big one to say the least. As the first thing is say, however, it's not an it the crashing isn't like charging or malicious or anything. You sort of as it comes closer, you get the vibe that it's just like this thing may be just curious. You don't know if it's a threat yet, but it's more curious than malicious.
Ah.
As this bug, as you hide, it enters the kitchen and you see this giant red toon stag beetle, which obviously has a saddle on its back, along with some sort of harness around its two mandibles, and it's just like sniffing the air. And it's just he's like as it just like it just its head now at once like swiveling around, sniffing, but then narrowed in on the macarons.
Oh no. Oh no. He's not allowing that. Absolutely not. He just got those done. Absolutely not. If the beetle even remotely tries to approach them, he is just actually going to he is in fact presumably going to try and stop it by means of landing on its saddle.
No. Yeah, and this stag beetle is about the size of a small pony. Say this is a pony-sized one. Like it can fit indoors, but it's pretty big for fitting indoors.
That is still the appropriate size for Roguefort to ride. I hate saying it because of how small he is.
I needed to say it just in case. Yeah,
It's okay.
yeah,
Yeah, no, he's 3 feet 2.
yeah. Like this bug is honestly gutting it for the macarons.
And from his position where he's been hiding, and it's kind of where a traditional bug may hide, is sort of on the crux, on the sort of crease of the ceiling and the wall. You know the section.
Mhm.
And yeah, no, he's immediately going to try to drop down. And would that be an animal handling check to try and calm the thing?
Yeah, animal handling.
Okay, cool. That is a +5. So he is
The
indeed going to you first. You first.
You do that while I make an opposing wisdom saving throw.
Ah,
Let's see.
still decent. Not as great as earlier rolls, but that's decent.
Okay. ironically, you wanted it to be low, as all you do as this, you immediately get on this bug's back without its permission, without like this is almost like a sneak attack to this bug, as it immediately
no,
rears up and
Yeah.
starts bucking off Roguefort.
Yeah, no. What check would it be to hold on for dear life and continue trying?
Athletics.
Oh, great. That's only a +3. Oh no.
As this sort of like bug like screech is just like as it just now is making a mess of this kitchen. Worse.
As long as he steers it away from the macarons, the rest of the kitchen can't get messed up. It's fine. Just away from the macarons. Away from the macarons. That's also a 10.
Yeah, a 10 ain't gonna do it, buddy. You are thrown right off of this bug. And
does he take any bludgeoning damage as he hits something?
Yeah, you broke the table. I'll roll a d6.
Cool. I actually need to roll him a wisdom save if he takes numbered damage.
3.
Okay, cool. So he is down to 31 hit points, but I need to make him a wisdom save. For reasons. Okay, yeah, no, that makes it. There's a momentary spike in a feeling, but no, he manages to collect himself. It's negligent damage at best. It's fine. It doesn't need to. Unfortunately, I think with that he's probably going to enter initiative with it until something else happens because okay, we're gonna have to calm you down the old bucking bronco way.
Yeah, and I need to make another roll right now to see if someone else hears it.
Yeah.
Because they were looking for red.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Unfortunately, it won't say they probably won't be able to get to red after this until the next round, but yeah. Let's see who goes first.
It probably ain't gonna be him. That's a 9.
Alright. Yeah. So,
Bug goes first.
yeah, as Red sees you, is just like, oh, danger, you are a threat. As they try to grab you with their mandibles.
Okay, what is that, an attack or is that a check?
It's an attack.
Alright, let's see it.
You'll have, depending on if you make these 2 attacks, you may have to make something. But for the first one, oh, I forgot to write the 20, the 0. First attack, yeah, that hits ya. And you need to make a, was it either athletics or acrobatics as this thing tries to grab you with its mandibles.
And I assume it does damage?
It does, but let's see if you. Let's see.
19! Acrobatics is better than athletics at the moment.
Fair enough.
He is essentially Twiggy.
Yeah. You take.
Unfortunately, that is still gonna prompt another wisdom save if he keeps taking damage.
Yeah, that's another 8 damage as it then goes. Yeah, as it goes for you again, because this thing has multi-attack.
Okay, I need to make him a wisdom save before you do that.
Alright.
Every time you do numbered damage to him, I need to make him a wisdom save.
Oh boy.
Don't ask why. If he fails, you'll find out. Still composed, but alright, it's starting to cut into his sides. That's not great. Not cool. You can definitely hear insect noises of complaint wherever the mysterious someone is. And
Uh
then
huh.
it doesn't sound like red.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure 10 doesn't beat your DC, your
No, but
AC.
if he failed that original save, then no, he succeeded it, so he's not grappled, I assume.
No, he's not grappled. You're
Yeah,
able to
no,
get out of it.
he dodges, but unfortunately, because of the way the mandibles work, I imagine the sides of his shirt have been shredded open, and unfortunately part of the chest too, so it doesn't look great.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, is that the end of the bug's turn?
That's the end of the bug's turn.
Thank heavens. Okay, so we are gonna go with a. We're going distinctly with non lethal attacks. Because, in his defense, he he'd be more showing waist than chest. Waist than chest, but I get your point. It is a good waist, though. We'll say that. But actually, I do have to. Would you roll a perception check for the bug?
Yes. I need to see what its perception is. Does it have. Alright, just a regular. Alright, just a regular d20 then. Just wanted to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's a 12.
Yeah, that's enough to notice at least. Roguefort, on appearance, there's a lot of red to his design. At least one would think. There's the red licorice twist hair. There's the red Madeline shell for his beetle-like wings. There's the cape. There's a lot of things, really. There's a lot of red to his theme. Except his blood doesn't match that.
Hmm.
It doesn't look like what you think would bleed from a licorice or Madeline cream based creature, as instead the blood that comes out is straw colored.
Hmm.
The bug would not know any way to make a check on that. If anybody else saw it, though, that would be a nature check instead.
That's fair. But
But
Mad
it's more
Lad
like
isn't
a
here right
power.
now. He is mad dashing to this.
So he kind of reaches down, he feels over the fact that, oh, you've ruined his good shirt. Thankfully, somehow have not messed up the apron that he was wearing because he was indeed wearing a rather nice apron. But no, the shirt underneath and part of his sides are just shredded, so that's great. That's fine. It's fine. He's dealt with worse. He has plenty of scars. It's fine. And he's going to go for a non lethal shot. So that is going to be a. Give me just a moment. That is going to be a +7 and +2. So +7 +2 because archery. So
Mm-hmm.
though he is at melee range. Does he have the feat that would give him? Okay, good news. He does not have disadvantage when firing within 5 feet of something.
I
Does
was
a
gonna say,
13?
I was about to say, does he have that
He
feat?
does have gunner. He does have gunner. Does a
Okay,
13 hit?
no, it pings off of Red's horns, as this shell is much harder than it looks.
And with a lightning click, it's just because the gunner feat, we ignore the loading property and just fire again.
Exactly, I love that feat.
Dirty 21.
Yeah, you get a shot in the more underbelly because there is it's very interesting. It's not like the legs are armored, their back is armored, but sort of the underbelly is sort of showing. So you're able to get a hit off there.
Okay, give me just a minute because I need to double check and make sure the damage is correct.
Understandable.
Because at the moment, he has a. It is a hunting rifle, so that would be 2d10 non lethal. I'm still stating damage.
Yeah.
So that is 2d10 of. And this is just. I'm saying this in case the creature has any resistances I don't know about. It's 2d10 piercing.
Okay, it does not have resistance against piercing.
15 non-lethal piercing.
All right, cool.
As another shot rings out. And with the second attack, I actually do need him to do something for me. Because Swarm Keeper magic is a fun thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, give me just a moment. We are going to go with. I'm going to want him. Okay, real quick question. Is horizontally side to side or up and down?
Horizontally is side to side.
Okay, so I'm going to need a strength saving throw from Rit.
They
Yes,
have a
I'm aware. But
they
how much?
have advantage against this.
Let's see. Because they have to go against my spell save DC, which is
Alright.
unfortunately not high, but I am at least aware that it's a big, bulky bug. It's probably going to have advantage. I
It
hope that
does have
wasn't rude.
advantage, and I'll just roll 2d20s at once.
Yeah. I do hope I wasn't rude when I said I was aware of presumably it, being a bulky thing.
No, I mean, if anyone could look at it and see this thing is a tank.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a 21 with advantage.
I almost forgot you were rolling 2d20 in one roll, and I was like, 33? I beg your pardon, but no, 21's fine. 21 is fine.
Yeah.
But, okay, so you feel. Red feels this crawling force try to push it, but it is almost negligible in comparison to the threat it's actually facing. That was it. That was Roguefort trying to use the swarm to move it out of the room.
Yeah, and Red just like shook it off.
So unfortunately, it is. Do you believe Mad Lab would arrive at this time?
Oh, exactly. That's what I was planning on doing. Say Mad Lad is arriving at this time, as Red is like bowing his head down, almost like he was gonna charge at Roguefort. Mad Lion's like, stop, Red, it's okay, boy, it's okay. As Mad Lad just rushes to Red, and Red is like head still down, but they sort of like perk up a little bit as they see Mad Lad. It's just like, it's okay, boy, it's okay. Roguefort, put the gun down. Put the gun down.
He quickly puts the gun aside, and yeah, no, you don't need a perception check to see that Roguefort is bleeding profusely.
Yeah, Mad Lad's gonna take care of that in 1 minute. They're trying to calm down Red. He's like, Red, easy, boy, easy, and he's gonna make an animal handling check with advantage because this is his bug.
You'll have to patch up the bug too.
Yeah. Okay, that's a dirty 20. And Red, seeing his favorite person, say, as they are petting, say, as Mad Lad's petting Red in the right spots, and it's just like, Red, and giving little scritches, it's like, Red slowly calms down and just sinks to the ground. As it sort of like makes this like whimpering sound as it just then goes to lick its wounds.
And Mad Lad can see that ethereal swarm dispersing from under because they were just trying to move it out of the room and just away from the kitchen. But as soon as it lands, they just like scatter and scamper back over to Roguefort.
I see the bleeding. Is it Red didn't get you too bad, did he?
I'm going to have to roll him deception on this. And he has a -1, mind you. Not bad, honestly. That would require an insight check to beat, as he tries to say, not too terribly, no, but it did unfortunately shred this very nice shirt.
Yeah.
It's difficult when shirts made for forearms.
Yeah, Mad Lad has a passive insight of 11, so he's just like,
Yeah, no. Actually, since you can see the straw or honey-colored blood, if you would like to, you can roll a nature check.
Yeah, he will roll a nature check. Nick, come on. Nope, he don't know shit.
You raise bugs. I will say you get advantage.
Fair enough.
Because this is a bug-based nature check.
Fair enough.
If you still get low, I'm gonna let you. Gotta be kidding.
Mad Lad is too concerned about his bug to worry about Roguefort. He knows that Roguefort can probably take care of himself. Mad Lad is just is a very concerned child that his pet has got shot.
Yeah, no, just Roguefort is just, and due to the gunner feed, it wouldn't have actually landed a proper bullet. So it just would have been almost the equivalent of a magical shot, but not quite, just like pure force, so to speak. So he's just, there's nothing to reload in this weapon, so there is no actual proper ammunition to fire. But Roguefort is going to, of course, glance over the kitchen that the beetle is wrecked and that he tried to manage. And he's gonna glance over, and I'm only gonna roll a percentile to see if he at least managed to protect the macaron tray. So if it's a high percent, then yeah, the tray is fine. If it's not, yeah, no, he looks over, and from him being slashed up earlier, now no, the tray of macaron pieces got banged over, and all the little pieces scattered across the floor. Nobody can eat those now. And he'd just sort of sag at that.
Yeah. F macarons.
He's not even gonna touch his wounds. He's actually just gonna go over and start picking the pieces up so no animals pick them up. And the swarm's just gonna help him.
Sorry. Let's see. What happened? Red's usually not violent.
I tried to appease him and get him under control, and he didn't like it. Which would make sense. I do not believe I may have used the best method.
What method did you use?
He would point to the saddle.
Ah. Mad Lad just nods. Yeah, Red really just only likes me when I ride him. Like, he only really lets me ride him.
And he's just picking up piece after piece. You know, the little fluffy caps to macarons, and
Yeah.
there probably is a little bit of cream on the floor, and one of the little dinner critters he hands a little handkerchief to wipe that up. And he hesitates before just discarding all those lovingly piped pieces into the trash.
I'm sorry about your, cookies? Mad Lad has never actually seen a macaron.
It is fine. It is only my... And he glances into the trash where his previous failed macarons already sit. It was my first successful batch of the day, but my 6th in total, so I can always make more. And he's just gonna close the bin. I apologize for firing upon the Reds. I have no excuse. I apologize.
Do you have any healing spells on ya?
I'm gonna check him for that, actually. He does, in fact, reach up, and as he draws his insectoid claws over one of the serrated wounds, he is gonna cast Cure Wounds on himself.
Nice. Mad Lad nods.
We'll burn a 2nd level spell slot for that. So that would be 2d8 plus 5. So 2d8 plus 5.
Nice.
Solid 15. And as he draws his claws over both the wounds, they both seal up. This does not fix the shirt, nor does it get rid of these stains, but it seals the wounds so they stop bleeding.
Mad Lad nods. Okay, good. I only had one potion. As Mad Lad's gonna reach into his hammer space. And he gets out a potion that looks purple. And this is actually an old potion that I've had for a while. It's called Mysterious Owl's Potion. And Mad Lad cups a hand and feeds it to Red, which Red actually drinks it up pretty quickly as it does taste of Laffy Taffy. So very
Aw.
sweet.
That's an adorable flavor. God, it's been so long since I've had Laffy Taffy. I can't have it with my dentures anymore.
Yeah.
Chewy things do not go well with dentures.
Yeah, and it is a red heals for a good amount, and basically is a. Does it get a up half all the way to full? I'm not very sure. Oh. It doesn't get him to full, but it does close the wound. Also, there you go, Red. And Red just like happily chirps and nuzzles Mad Lad.
Would you like to explain to me what Red was doing marching down the hall?
I was in the middle of trying to train Red and bond with him more, and I'm guessing because of those macarons, he got distracted when my back was turned. He left, and I'm guessing, well, followed the scent, and he then gestured to everything that just happened.
Yeah, and the fact that now Red doesn't get macarons
Yeah,
because the got tipped over. So who really won the encounter?
exactly.
Just I'm imagining Red just seeing those get tossed over in the bin and just getting that sad little bug look.
Yeah.
And Roguefort, of course, recalls all the banging sounds he already heard earlier, and he goes, "You weren't trying to train that creature inside, were you?"
Well, I mean, yes, technically, but he needs to eventually learn how to move around inside.
He reaches one honey stained hand up to rub at the bridge of where his nose used to be and no longer is. Yes, it is true that creatures of that size need to learn how to behave indoors. But by the sounds of it, I tell you what, how about we go back to wherever you were and we start cleaning things up and we get back to whatever you were doing? How's that?
Okay. Uh,
Because, as you can see, and he gestures to the fact the kitchen is a fucking mess.
yeah. Yeah. Matt just rubs the back of his neck.
They're like the swarm is already trying, and you can see like the little white Strabby is trying to manipulate a dustpan.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
they're actually trying to use tools, even though they don't actually have hands.
Oh my gosh.
A couple of them are giving Red wary looks, but it's not malicious. It's just a look of, please don't try that again. Please don't try that again. It's a very big bug. Don't try that again. Don't try that again.
Yeah. Matt just nods like, I'll help come back and clean up this. Also.
Hmm. I do believe there should be a broom up there in the closet. If you would happen to find one, that would be a good start.
Yeah, but let's try to clean up the rest of. Let's see what the rest of the damage is.
Hmm. One room at a time. Oui.
As Mad Lad, like, goes to say, unfortunately, there is a trail of small destruction from where Red came into the kitchen back to his room.
Yeah, no, Roguefort would probably get the kitchen fixed up soon, but as soon as he leaves the kitchen and sees that being cleaned up, it's just the thought of, oh boy, here we go. And
Yeah.
he just follows along once the kitchen is cleaned up.
Yeah.
Tries to help where he can, but it very much is mostly, even if it's a small mess, it still is a mess the swarm helps with, so it's a little faster. A little.
A little. Yeah. And there's also a trail of destruction from Red too is just like it isn't very much. It isn't like the kitchen, but there are like faces knocked over. There's like there are glasses broke.
Oh,
There's
pieces
there is
everywhere.
there are books accidentally knocked down the floor.
Roguefort just inhales, and you can see in his face if Ollie finds out all those glasses broke. Roguefort's gonna be the one that takes care of cleaning up the shards, just to keep Mad Lad away from it, so Mad Lad doesn't accidentally get cut.
Yeah. Yeah, and that lad just sees all this. There's even like a painting that accidentally fell on the floor, and it's just like the painting looks fine, but still, there's things that knocked down and stuff. And that lad's just increased. Like he's even more quiet than usual. But he's like, "Yeah, I'm in trouble."
But it would take an extended amount of time, especially for the shards. And he
Mhm.
certainly wouldn't want to vacuum them up because, fun fact, he would not actually want to start the vacuum or really know how a vacuum works. If he heard a vacuum start, he would think it was a monster.
Oh
So
my
he's just
gosh.
doing the old-fashioned route of dustpan, gloves, picking up pieces, dustpan.
Oh my gosh.
That is the only reason it takes so long, is because he's not vacuuming.
That's fair. Yeah, and Mad Lad trying when they get closer to the room, he's just like, at least it could have been worse. I mean, Red's just a baby.
And he's just gonna glance from Mad Lad to Red, and then back to Mad Lad. How big do you expect Red to be in his adulthood?
He does that cartoonish thing, like he like stretches out his hand and like there's like in air like that cartoony gag of the lines keep going up until it
Mm-hmm.
checks marks to like how big Red is expected to grow on average, and it's the size of a large cow, a very large bull, you could say.
You would not be able to bring him indoors. You would not. You may train him to behave at this age, but once he gets big enough, there are certain buildings he would not be able to fit into. How do you expect him to behave if you have to leave him outside while you do something?
I don't know. I'm working on it. I never trained anything before.
Hmm. Well, I suppose if anyone could assist you, if you would like me to, I can try and help.
Please do. Please do. He's already on his knee, hands and knees begging.
He doesn't even finish the sentence and he's already on his knees. It's just like, ah. Well, first things first. We should get all of this cleaned up and then move Red back outside.
Alright. Sounds like a plan. And they probably spend a good chunk of time cleaning up everything.
It's about an hour, I would think, considering even for what little destruction it is, it's shards without a vacuum. It's gonna take a hot minute.
Yeah, it's gonna take a hot minute.
Putting books back, trying to make sure that the one TV that got knocked over is still functional, and it's fine. The antenna just got bent all weird. For a
Yeah.
split second, you see like some weird magical girl show on, but then he fixes the antenna and it's normal again.
Yeah.
And then it's just on, and eventually the mess is cleaned. The glasses aren't restored, of course, because they're obviously broken, but he at least has the shards set aside for an explanation when Ollie gets back.
Yeah.
Because you can cartoon logic a house better, and that's fine. The glasses need explained to Grandpa.
Yeah, indeed.
Does he have the mending spell? No, he does not. I forgot he doesn't get access to that. Unfortunate.
Yeah, rip.
But he does set them aside with hopefully parts that he believes they go to, and if not, somebody with better eyes can eventually help, and somebody with mending can eventually help.
Yeah,
But
eventually.
For the time being, it is set aside, and only when everything is clean and the books are put back and the paintings hung back up, only then does Roguefort finally take his swarm, put up the apron, and also change shirt, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mad
Well,
Lad probably does look at the shirt and does feel guilty.
it's honestly a fairly ordinary shirt. It looks fairly old fashioned. It's got these pillowy sleeves, but at least the torso of it looks like it's gonna need some mending,
Yeah.
some stitch work. It looks old more than it looks anything else. It's not
Yeah.
delicate, but
Fair enough. It still has blood on it, right?
oh yeah, no, it still has his blood on it, so to speak. Yeah,
Do you think Mad Lad can make another nature check?
sure. Again, remember advantage. Well, I mean, technically, Roguefort's an antique, so
Let's see. Nature is a plus. I'll roll both of.
anything, anything Roguefort has or is antique.
Fair enough. That's a 16 advantage.
You do recognize one thing. This is not the color of beetle blood. This is the color of wasp blood.
Hmm.
Beetle blood isn't. The different blood of different insects tends to be different depending on what kind they are, and there's a lot of details we're not going to go into here. But wasp blood is that specific straw and honey color.
Yeah, Mad Lad just looks at that and it's just like, huh. By the way you have your shell, I thought you would have more of a color of blood of a beetle.
Hmm? Is that not beetle blood? And he just would gesture down to it.
Mad Lad shakes his head. No, that's wasp blood.
Hmm. Weird. And he just moves on like somehow that's not weird as fuck. Like, for some reason, he just completely dismisses that.
I mean, Mad Lad sees this and he's just like, interesting. He's not really reacting much. I guess it's not that big of a deal. I
Oh
mean,
my
blood's blood in the end.
Oh my god. Roguefort blows over what would normally be a suspicious fact. Bad lad. Oh, this isn't suspicious at all. This is fine.
It's just like, I guess it would make sense. I mean, hives, bees, wasp, kind of makes sense.
But yeah, no, he would change into a he probably would change into a proper sweater to head outdoors, and he'd have plenty of sweaters in his hammer space. We're not even gonna go into it. He's got a wardrobe in there. He's got a wardrobe.
Yeah, well, Mad Lad just goes outside in t-shirts and shorts.
But yeah, basically he also gets away from the front door just in case, remembers to close it behind them.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
And you do know that he actually does put away the gun, but he keeps that new rapier of his on him at all times.
Fair enough.
But eventually he would head out to more the clearing in front of the house, in front of the tree house than anything else.
Mm.
Alright. Why not show me how you're trying to train him first? What were you doing before Red happened to sneak off? Eh?
I was trying to teach him how to sit.
And how are you trying to do that?
Mad Lad, like the kid he is, just tries to tell Red to sit and tries to like gesture at him and like gently like move Red's bum to like into the sit position. Very much little kid like, not very sure how to do stuff.
Roguefort is gonna roll deception again, but more to try and hide how endeared he is by that. That. Thank you, bot. That was not how I wanted to roll that. That's a. Oh my god.
I feel. Oh my gosh.
He is. He was trying not to show how charmed he is by that. He is failing miserably. You can see the grandpa look at his face of, oh, sweetie.
And Mad Lad
That
just
is
Mad Lad's face gets flushed in embarrassment as he sees his face. He's just like, "Well, I'm doing my best. I never trade anything for it." He just like huffs and crosses his arms.
it is all right. It is all right. He just waves his head. He would have cleaned up his little claws by now, so they're no longer honey stained. It is all right. It is all right. You were not able to train anything without the proper incentive. Just trying to tell someone to sit is not usually going to do it. Watch. And though he knows about their encounter earlier, he is still slowly going to approach Red just to make an example of Mad Lad's method.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to stand in front of him, clearly. And the first time he's going to do this, his hands are going to be empty, but he's going to try and give him the gesture that he would give his dinner critters of sit. And I assume that would be an animal handling check?
Yep.
All right. Yes, I would. Hang on just a minute. I don't want to sign up with a free account to this Answers website. I just want to know what Lost Blood was called. Thank you. Animal handling's +5, so R1d20 +5. I almost hit minus. That would have been incorrect.
That would have been hilarious.
What's more hilarious is the fact that a 23, I think, works without meaning to.
Yeah. It does. Red just sort of like sits. See, that's what I was trying to do.
Roguefort blinking. You can kind of see the other dinner critters actually looking like they're doing little bobs, like they're laughing to themselves, but you don't really hear the sound. He glances back to the swarm, and they're just acting innocent. You could almost hear one of the flying creatures whistling. And then he looks back. Apparently, I have spent enough time with my swarm. Traditionally, you would have to give them incentive to try and teach them the rewards of listening to a command.
Oh, like a treat?
Yes. And since he listened and he sat, he's gonna reach into his hammer space. Give me a minute.
Alright.
I was prepared for a nat 1. And it wasn't one that he made, but he does actually pull up. Give me just a moment. I'm gonna do a coin flip. I don't want to hit the caps lock button. Thank you. And he does indeed pull up another macaron.
And
he's just...
Yeah. Let's say Red definitely sees the macaron and tries to get up to get it.
Sit. Sit. Sit.
Roll and say, let's see if Red listens.
Because he is holding it out of his reach, mind you.
Yeah. Let's see. What is...
That's the exact same number.
Yeah. That is the exact same number. And Red just gets back into the position that he's sitting.
Good boy. And then he's going to toss up the treat. Good boy. Yes, you are.
Yeah, Red just chirps happily as they catch the macaron and just eats it.
Whenever you are training any creature, it is a relationship of give and take. Orders are not given needlessly, and the animal needs to recognize that doing something will lead to it being rewarded for being obedient and good.
Oh.
Even though Red listened to me when I said sit, I still rewarded him afterward with a treat, even though I was not holding one. The animal needs to recognize that doing something is going to see a reward or good behavior for it.
Mad Lad just nods and understands. I see. And Mad Lad then reaches into his pocket. Yeah, and he pulls out a small bag. He's like, I could use these for treats. Because I'm not pretty sure how many of those macarons he has. As he pulls out a bag and he takes out what looks to be a small, like, little hard candy. A little amber color hard candy. And You can make a perception check if you want.
Give me just a moment to do so. That's a 13.
Yeah, that would get it. It's just like you smell a whiff of honey coming from this candy. And you can just guess that this is honey hard candy.
Once I'm finished peeling the crust off something, I actually need to roll something for Roguefort since it's honey.
Yeah.
Or I can butcher the crust on the sandwich, that's fine. Alright, let me just roll him a save real quick. Well, not a save, it's another deception check.
Oh my gosh.
On a 9, you know how he's got the same googly eyes as the dinner critters, and they've got the same round pupils that
Yeah.
usually bounce around unless they're focused on something?
Mhm.
Not only do they zone in on the honey hard candy, you actually see them dilate like a cat. And you can see the way his curly licorice mustache actually kind of twitches and curls a bit more.
Yeah, Matt just looks at the hard candy, looks at Roguefort, like, I'm guessing you like honey hard candy also?
And he tries to cough and clear his throat and clear the reaction up. I recognize the smell, oui. Whether
Yes.
I like or dislike it is entirely subjective.
Mad Lad slowly takes Roguefort's hand, puts a hard candy in it, and closes the hand for him. He's just like, here, take one.
And he does take it, but it's weird the behavior he does with it, because with most food that you've seen, there's usually a sort of, you're not sure if it's an illusion effect or it's just the fact of the lack of mouth, but normally there's like, his head makes a biting motion without a mouth, and it just disappears like a Waddle Dee or some other mouthless thing eating.
Yes.
That's not what he does with this candy. He kind of holds it up and almost sets it to where the mouth should be, but nothing happens. He kind of pauses, and then I did not think this through. And you can see the way his mustache actually droops a bit as he's kind of tried to do this again, and you're not sure why it's not working compared to the other thing, but is there a way I could liquefy this again?
I'm guessing so. I mean, hard candy, you had to liquefy it to then make it hard. I'm guessing it's. I mean, as long as you heat it up, I'm guessing you can do it.
Mm. He's going to put that, I assume, wrapped piece of hard candy that he would have unwrapped to try and eat, but realizes, right, can't.
Mad Lad is just like, I'm sorry, you can't pop the whole thing in your. You can't pop the whole thing in.
It's well, you said pop a whole thing in as if I have been having these things solid.
Mad Lad just like, shows like, I don't know how it works. Like, I don't know. I mean, pop it in, suck it.
Oh,
Well,
no, no, I can't do that. When you see me eat anything else, the motion I make is to make it look like I am eating like you. I drink it instead.
Huh.
It disappears into the magical glamour, and I drink it instead.
Wait, magical glamour.
Wait,
So, you look different than you do right now, in actuality.
somewhat. You see, it depends on the fairy, but we usually have any number of magical glamours present when we are interacting with others. We rarely ever show our true face. I don't actually remember mine.
Huh.
I mean, I know I am under a magical glamour, but I don't actually remember what my real face looks like. It's a little weird.
I agree that is a bit weird. From things about the hornet's blood.
Wasp blood specifically, but
Yeah,
yeah.
wasp blood. Maybe some sort of. You know what? We can figure this out later. I feel like that's gonna be a whole deal derailing like thought process.
I just do not think about it. I tend not to think about such things. I focus on my work. If I do not look as I look now, then that is fine. Besides, this glamour is a bit more entertaining to most folks. The most I know is I have a different art style, but when I'm in my real art style, nobody can seem to take me seriously.
Oh, is it
That
really
was just
that different? I mean, I've seen some pretty weird art styles. My dad's an uncanny toon.
Maybe there are others who are of a similar style here, but where I am from, my style does not get many, compliments.
What?
I'm not even rolling him deception. He actually looks visibly self-conscious at the idea of possibly being asked to show his art style. This is, by the way, I will say, not a behavior you'd associate with Roguefort normally. He normally seems like cool and confident when he's on the job, but this is not cool and confident in the slightest.
I mean, Mad Lad takes his hand. I don't care what you look like. You're still Roquefort in the end, and that's all that matters.
Okay, I do need to roll him deception for that. Why is that the one thing you have to succeed?
Oh,
You can
you can always
insight
make
it.
it. You can always make it a disadvantage.
No, sadly not. You would have to roll insight.
I mean, Mad Lad will try to roll insight. Ah, shoot.
By the motion his cheeks make, you think if he had his mouth, he would have been smiling. But instead, you just see that smile in the eyes more. But you don't really get anything off about it. He looks comforted by that. You don't really get why he would feel wrong about it. You don't get what's wrong. Why would anything be wrong?
Yeah, Mad Lad's just
Like,
happy that he looks a little bit more happier when he said that. It's just like Mad Lad just smiles. Yeah.
so with that, you will have to roll me persuasion.
Oh. All right.
Well, for the whole thing of you saying you didn't care what he looks like.
All right. Fair enough. It's truly and generally he does not care.
Mhm. Yeah, that's why I said persuasion.
Oh, ha! 21! 21!
And I know he's not going to beat a 21, but I'm going to make the roll just for funsies.
Oh no, he get a nat 20.
No, it's going to be a 9. Look, if he gets a nat 20, anyway, it's still going to be a 19. It's not going to be 21.
I always. Okay, we both had different. Yes.
He gets a thoughtful look for a moment, and then sighs. I can at least show you the art style. Just promise me you will not laugh?
Of course not.
And you watch as he almost violently shakes himself, and the magical glamour concealing his art style just shakes off, almost like paint splatter. Which makes sense because of what's underneath. Roguefort's not three-dimensional. He's two-dimensional. He's like a drawing. Specifically, he's like a storybook watercolor painting. Specifically, watercolor in the style of Roald Dahl's books. He looks like a Roald Dahl illustration, and his googly eyes still fit in that regard.
Ooh, watercolor like. Mad Lad is not saying Mad Lad's more interested in anything. He's never seen a tune with this sort of say art style before. He's really curious. Say
Yeah,
he
not all the colors are staying in the lines, but as you see, you do need to make me either a perception or medicine check.
perception.
Because there is something about him that looks off.
Mad Lad is too enthralled by the pretty watercolors.
You didn't even meet a 10. Oh, buddy.
Yeah, Mad Lad is like his eyes are like like little anime stars. He just thinks that Roguefort's watercolor colors are just so cool.
And Roguefort looks justifiably flustered. I'm not even rolling for him trying to keep his cool because he's, just his limbs all look messily drawn. And like I said, it is specifically, let me see if I can grab the name of Roald Dahl's illustrator in mind, because it is specifically the style of the Roald Dahl, books.
Yeah, I don't remember the
Quentin Blake. It is Quentin Blake.
yeah.
So it is Quentin Blake's illustrations for Roald Dahl specifically. So you can see, just most of the color stays in, but not all, and it clearly fades off toward the bottom where not every line is present. His
Mhm.
googly eyes still make sense, but when he moves, he kind of moves as if he doesn't really have frames. He moves as if someone's turning a page.
Yeah, and Mad Lad's like, "Oh, this is so cool."
And he just lifts one of those little insect toy grubby claws up to rub at his neck, and he is very, very clearly blushing. Though he's blushing, again, more of a gold color than a red color.
Mhm.
And it still is. Unfortunately, your perception check still failed. You could
Yeah.
roll for red if you want.
Roll for what?
Red, the beetle.
Okay, red. Yeah. He's probably not gonna see anything different because flat. That's a
Mm-hmm.
flat D20, but nope.
Bless your sweetheart. They are both idiots, Your Honor.
I pointed at they are baby, Your Honor.
They are baby. They are baby. Babies don't have very good perception.
No.
You can roll perception for the dinner critters, though.
Oh,
Because,
all right.
yeah, fun fact, by the way, the dinner critters art style also changed, so Roguefort and the dinner critters are no longer in the style.
Oh my god, of course.
Firstly, the dinner critters are also watercolor, and they're also drawn in the Roald Dahl Quentin Blake art style. They're not drawn in the Bug Snack style at all.
Mad
They
Lad.
look,
Yeah, Mad Lad points. Your bugs changes too.
and as you point at them, some of them perk up, but with your perception, you do notice something else from the dinner critters. The dinner critters' colors are all bright and vibrant and nice looking and pretty, and oh, you could just gush about them all day, and you glance over at Roquefort in comparison, and his colors are not.
Mm.
His glamour before had his deep, rich reds and bright red tones, and it had all the vibrancy to expect. His watercolors are faded, worn out immensely, and his lines are almost gone.
Mm.
His antennae are still curly, as is his mustache, but it doesn't look the best. But his swarm looks healthy as can be.
Yeah, Mad Lad looks at the swarm, looks at Roguefort, looks at the swarm, looks at Roguefort, looks at the swarm, looks at Roguefort. Are you okay? He says those words very carefully.
What are you talking about? I'm fine.
Are you sure? Are you sure you're not sick?
Sick?
Mad Lad takes I say if one of the strawberries Barbies would let them, they say he will pick one up and carry one over to Roquefort and just plops it down in his lap. See?
Roll me animal handling with advantage since you are a baby.
Yes.
Actually, it depends on the dinner critter you pick. It depends on which strabby you pick up. Do you want to roll animal handling or persuasion?
Uh yep. I say is the white strawberry I say is it bright color also?
The white strabby, due to it being white, it is actually only line art and bright red seeds. It is actually almost invisible.
Oh my gosh. He'll probably pick up one of the regular strawberry, the red ones, to make the point.
That would be an animal handling one.
Okay. You said with advantage?
Uh-huh.
Alright. I'll just roll both of them at once. That's an 8.
You wonderful little thing. They're kind of they sort of scamper away from you at first, but you don't think it's any actual malice on your part. You just kind of move too quickly. It just sort of startles, but Roguefort just lifts a claw up toward the strap and just sort of glances back to him, then scampers on your hand, and then you bring it over.
Mm-hmm.
And Roguefort just sort of picks it up and holds it up against his insectoid arm, just as a comparison. And yeah, while the sketch lines are the same, yeah, the dinner critters are rather vibrant. Roguefort is not. His tones, you can actually see there's red, and you can kind of see some purple, you think, sneaking through, but
Mm-hmm.
it's all very worn out and faded, like a very, very, very old painting that hasn't been retouched in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Or ever, actually. Like
Mm-hmm.
someone left their watercolor in the sun for too long and then didn't fix it up.
Yeah.
Hmm. Except he just shrugs and he just puts the dinner critter back in Madlet's hand. I mean, I tend to stay glamour more often than not. I would not see anything wrong with my art style fading. Nobody's going to see it.
Yeah, but I also don't want to make sure it's not it's it's not due to you being sick or something. Because I've heard tunes like there are diseases that their color fades and stuff, or they become really drippy if they get some diseases.
I do not have any diseases. I am alright. I have maintained the peak of my health in all my work.
You gotta
And
roll a
he also,
persuasion for that. Matt Lad is concerned.
it is actually going to be both persuasion and deception, but not for the reason you think, because he's not sick, but. So persuasion is -1. God bless your heart-wise, charisma your dump stat. You motherfucker. And self deception about the possible cause is not for the fact of it being a disease, because even with it's not. It's really not. But it's still not great.
Yeah.
Neither of those are good. Like, he tries to do the sort of triumphant, cool pose that a professional would try to do. His posture's good. He's got perfect practice. But you're still looking at the watercolors.
Bad Lad just does almost a motherly thing and raises an eyebrow.
Roguefort stares at him with those googly, hand-drawn eyes for a minute, and then they just sort of droop, and you can see his curly antenna droop, and his curly mustache droops, and just... I really do take care of myself. I do not believe I am sick.
I just care about you, Roguefort. I don't want you to even accidentally hurt yourself.
You will not have to worry about that.
I
I
do. I have to. Someone does. Otherwise, if no one else does, it'll be my fault if something worse happens.
And you could see the way his look softens. There's not even a deception check, just... And he just sort of kneels down to Madlat's height. Lad, nothing that would happen to me would be your fault, as it would not be anyone else's fault here. Alright?
Mad Lad shake his head. No, no. If something bad happens, it's always my fault. It's the reason Carminia's gone, and maybe I could have done something and it's my fault and I couldn't save my family and they're
Wait,
gone because I
wait,
couldn't.
wait, wait.
And he's crying now.
Oh no, no, yeah, no, he's not even lying to himself. He doesn't even hesitate to reach little insectoid hands out and actually just pull Mad Lad closer. And Mad Lad, your tears against his colors do not help, but he still hugs you. It's still somewhat stiff because he's still not used to it, but
Mhm.
it is still it's warm enough. He feels warm enough.
Mhm.
And the rest of the dinner critter swarm just watches with sympathy. The Strabby that was sitting in your hands before you started crying, that probably got courteously dropped, just like scampers up to your foot. But
Mhm.
Roguefort, of course, is going to reach into his hammer space for that handkerchief. He is just comforting a lot of crying tunes in these FPSs as of late.
Yeah.
It's you. Then there's Otto at the Halloween party that's coming up. Just
Yeah.
buddy, buddy. Oh, thank heavens. Thank heavens it actually worked. Yeah, he just pulls out a little handkerchief that looks lovingly hand painted and just uses that to help wipe up your tears. Do you understand Sylvan?
He does not understand Sylvan.
It sounds like Roguefort is just speaking cursive, but it's a reassuring tone.
I I don't know what you're saying. I don't speak that language.
And then he just sort of pauses a moment and then sighs. Apologies. Comfort in common is not always the best, but
Mm.
you are not at fault for anything that has happened to them, alright? You are very young, and you are not to be expected to be able to defend from any great or significant threats.
Mm.
Even
That
if you were taught to fight, even if you have guns and big bugs, you are still a boy. You cannot be expected to protect the world when it could very easily crush you.
but I don't want to lose anyone else.
Oh, I can understand that, but it isn't your fault if anyone is gone either. It can feel like it, but that doesn't make it true. And he's saying this as he's just dabbing at those tears. And again, this is the whole matter of he doesn't have frames quite like you. He moves like a storybook, but it still is enough movement that the way his lines and body look, it does look like he is moving. He just doesn't move in the same way as a traditional Toonkind. It's just like a storybook.
Mhm.
Except if a storybook were comforting a cartoon boy.
Yeah.
Just dabbing at one cheek, dabbing at the other, the handkerchief lingers.
I just it just hurts. I love see. I never said it to Carmine yet, but it felt like she was just another parent to me. It felt like kind of like a grandma to me, a maybe a mom to Alexander. And I mean, I don't want something to happen to Crew. I mean, he has a dangerous job, and I don't want something to happen to you either, because I I really care. I care about you, Roguefort.
And the way his curly antenna just droops, you can see the way his little hand-drawn pupils just shake a little bit. He just continues cleaning Mad Lad up, and it's just like, you do not have to worry about me. I am a professional. I know how to get myself through and survive. If anything is wrong with me, it is not of anyone else's doing or fault, it is of my own. Just as if anything is right with me, it is not of anyone else's doing, but is my fault. You do not have to worry so much for others. It is a good quality to have, but you should also be a priority when thinking of these things. For others already have to worry about each other and all these big scary threats as is. It should not be something that you have to be burdened with. You should be worrying about yourself and Reds and your adventures here with EGAD. You should not have to worry about someone like me. I've been through plenty.
But I still want to help you if I can.
I'm gonna roll him something. And you actually get to choose what?
Alright.
Self persuasion or self deception?
Self persuasion. Let's make things interesting.
Also, if you're curious if there was a right answer, there wasn't.
No, I'm just more curious in one than the other right now.
Gosh dang. Now I have to roll the self deception.
Oh! Oh!
Okay. Fascinating. But as he's cleaning you up, he just glances down to his watercolors and his worn out lines, and you don't really see it, but even with part of a glamour still in place, he has a lot of scars. But it's more scars that would fit a watercolor picture.
Mm-hmm.
It's nicks, it's tears, there's a smudge here and there. There's a great big old rip, actually, in part of his hair, for some reason. That gets into part of his head, but remains. But he just sighs. I do not want you to worry about. I get into a lot of things that are incredibly complicated. And certainly a lot more complicated than one such as you should deal with. But I have dealt with them just fine, and whether they do me ill or whether they do me well, I have been handling it well all my years of living, and I will continue to handle it well. For all my colors wearing down, I am still as sharp a blade as ever, and can still maintain my uses, even if those uses are very limited.
If you say so, but I know of complicated situations, and I know how hard they can be. As he actually grabs the middle of his chest, like his shirt, and just sort of like grabs it.
Aw. If you have dealt with other toons that look like me, do they normally look this faded out?
Yes, and even myself.
Hmm. Well, if you normally look this faded out, then what is the concern of my colors being faded?
Because it I Mad Lad is just shifting. So I said, I mean, they're not faded out. It's just my colors can change in a bad way. Eh, he bites his lip. He's having a
Oh.
hard time speaking. You've never seen Mad Lad this nervous.
Well, look, let us adjust it slightly. How would you fix these colors then?
I don't know. They usually Inkwell has this hospital that um like supposed to help with colors. That would be my first guess. For myself, nothing can help me.
Ike just asks in the chat, "Are you winning, sons?" And I mean,
Oh my gosh, Ike. You have
I.
impeccable timing.
Do you believe a hospital on the motor plane would be able to assist a fairy as myself?
Uh, I don't know. Maybe? I mean, this world is pretty magical and it's usually pretty advanced. I'm sure someone could possibly help.
Hmm. Now I'm going to roll persuasion, but it's not for Roguefort. So let me pull up the sheet again. That would be a +3. Okay. Why, mate?
Mmm.
I am gonna have to roll stealth for something, but
Oh boy.
it's not for what I'm rolling anonymously for. It actually is a stealth roll for Roguefort, just to see if he can hide the look he possibly glances at something.
Mm-hmm.
Eh, sort of. He sort of glances down, but since Mad Lad is so nervous, I'm not sure if he'd notice he was glancing down at his sword or not. Before Roguefort would glance back up to Mad Lad. Well, if you believe no one here in the material plane can help you, I could try asking about whatever problem you have in the Feywild.
Mad Lad shakes his head violently. No, 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 no. No one can know. No one can know.
Why not?
Mad Lad is gripping his chest tighter. Because he may hurt you.
He?
He. We have a truce right now, but I don't know. I still. He doesn't trust me, but I don't trust him either.
I see. Well, whatever situation you are in, even if you don't want me to tell anyone else, you can trust me to help. And you can see the attempt at a smile in his eyes again. As he's just got two of his little buggy hands reassuringly on Madlad's shoulders, and the other one is still holding onto the handkerchief.
Mad Lad is still looking extremely nervous. You gotta roll a perception, my bud. I
Yeah.
persuasion, my bud.
Oh god, he has to roll persuasion? Oh god, help him. Oh, now you roll decent. Now you roll good. Okay, alright, thank heavens for that.
Mad Lad looks up at Roguefort. It's just like, I I have someone inside me. I'm possessed, but also I'm not very sure if two souls inside me count as per possession, but kind of feel like it does when he pops out.
Ah, I see, you are having a hosting situation. Hmm. I've met individuals that have dealt with similar things before, usually the result of some sort of path magic made.
Jake said, no magic. As far as he knows, he this he says this was supposed to be his body, and that's why he's mad at me a lot of times.
Hmm. And he just gets a thoughtful look at that, but it's also this slightly stubborn, thoughtful look of, oh, someone's fighting with you about it. It's that grandpa look of hearing that one of their kids is having a fight with a classmate at school, and it's that brief thought of, can I interject in a fight on my child's behalf? What advice could I have as a grandfather that would help in this situation that isn't just me fighting for my kid? You know the grandpa look. You know the look.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look, I have dealt with more than my fair share of intimidating individuals, so I will tell you what. If you believe anything is going to go wrong or has gone wrong, you can be assured that I will do my best to assist you on the matter. Alright?
Mad Lad nods. Okay. It's
But. Hmm?
it's just weird because he's technically a real kind and I'm a toon in this body. I think that maybe we figured out that I'm half toon because of it.
Oh! Oh, I've met half-toons. That is also fine.
Yeah, but I like mainly toon, which confuses me.
Hmm. Well, it could depend on your biological parents and other circumstances. As I mentioned before, I have seen mixed toons that share a variety of features, but it depends entirely on their heritage. Then again, I also usually see them in passing, so I don't really have much time to ask people, oh, hey, what are your parents like? Oh, I'm so glad you asked, monsieur. My mother was a Toonkind of the Bluetkin variety, and my father was a Toonkind of the Hausen variety. So as you can see, I look like a rather fucked up stop motion puppet. See? Ah, yes, I see, mademoiselle, I see. He is trying to play up an entertainment bit to make Mad Lad laugh. I
And
am actually going to roll him performance to
yeah,
see if that works.
yeah, real performance.
Which is unfortunately also a -1. Decent! Decent!
You get a little chuckle out of him.
I do not get to ask people about it much, but I have seen others who have had similar styles. I would not judge you on it at least, and you don't seem to be judging me on this. And he would just kind of he reaches up and sort of pulls at his outline a bit, just like it's a piece of paper.
Yeah, Mad Lad nods like, yeah. And it's one of those things I never really thought about until I found out about it, but I'm I'm not very sure if I can say still me, but I'm not mad at being half real kind at least.
Mm-hmm. And listen, the you that I know right now, I would consider to be the real Mad Lad. So, there.
Yeah.
Now, why do we not get your mind away from this terrible business by continuing to try and teach your lovely red some tricks? Hmm?
Yeah, Mad Lad does very much perk up at that idea. Yeah, I really want to bond with him more so I can hopefully maybe gain ranger magic because Kita they say they're my friend that say they're also
You see his antenna perk up immediately at the idea of learning more ranger magic.
yeah,
Did
and
you
that like
think
he's like yeah because
the
Kita
look?
yeah Kita's a ranger also and they said they got their magic by because they have a swarm of cats. I'm not very sure if that's the correct term, but that's somewhat how they decided to call it. And they said how they got their magic is they got closer to their cats. So I'm trying to get closer to Red, so maybe I can gain my magic.
I see. And he's just sort of. You can see his lower arm sort of fold, and though his ribs are still a little sore, healing magic at least seals the wound, but it's going to be at least muscle sore for a little bit. But
Hmm.
his upper side just ends up stroking his chin, and like one of his claws is sort of twirled into his mustache in a thoughtful look. First and foremost, it would not be called a swarm of cats, it would be called a clouder of cats. That is what you call a group of cats, is a clouder.
Huh. I didn't know that.
I'm also gonna type out in chat because yeah, that is in fact the term.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize. I thought it would be like a colony of cats, but continue on.
Yeah, no, it is Clouder. That is what I'm getting. It is Clouder.
Huh, fair enough.
A group of cats is called a clouder if they seem to know one another. Formerly clodder in 18th century English. A group of cats unfamiliar to one another is called a glaring.
Huh. The more you know.
A school if they're trying to get a decree.
Yes.
Now, here's the thing about swarm magic and training as a ranger. These things are not mutually exclusive. You do not get one and miraculously unlock the other. To bond with a swarm is found under the training of a ranger. These are not separate things. So if you are to bond with Red, you want to train yourself further as a ranger first, and then you will better learn how to bond with Red as a result of your training. It is training you first, before you train others. Otherwise, it is like a clown trying to teach a circus without a degree in clowning.
Huh. Can you teach me then?
I am gonna roll him deception only at him trying to look mature and composed and not at all excited at being taught. Oh, hey, can you teach me? So I'm just gonna roll him self-deception to see if he can fucking lie to you and show that he's not as excited as he physically is.
Please roll one. Please roll one. Please roll one. Yeah! It's not one, it's a 2, but yeah!
You can see his eyes at least remain bright, though the pupils are still somewhat glassy in comparison, but the way they brighten and dilate a bit like they were painted with a thicker brush. And he clearly looks like he tries to maintain that mature, composed old man look, but very clearly you can actually see his wings kind of vibrating a little. Like you can see the little hand-drawn vibration lines and the little shaky they're doing. And he kind of glances aside and goes, "Well, I would not say it would be incredibly easy. My line of work is not for the faint of heart."
What do you need as a resume? I took down a bear. I took down a god. I took down, I took down some bandits once. That was fun.
He is not going to ask about the second one, but there is a brief thought of he took down a what? Just a brief thought in his head of, parlez-vous français? Quoi? But if you would like me to, as I was trained by an expert before me, I can begin training you in the art of a swarm keeper ranger. But my experience is best held with insects, which does seem to line up better with your line of work. And he glances to Red.
Yeah, I don't have a swarm. I just have red. But maybe if you could still try to teach me some stuff, maybe that'll help me along because I haven't gotten anywhere.
I can certainly try. After all, I have nothing to teach you but more than 400 years of experience. Surely you will pick something up.
Yeah! And Mad Lad hugs him.
I need to roll him a lie to himself. Why? Why is the one time you have to succeed a self-deception? Lying to yourself about getting attached. Why? I guess just conditioning and horrible things do tend to run deep. But
Yeah.
still, it's not like anybody knows. It's fine. It's not like anybody knows. It's fine. He's fine. He's healthy. He's normal. There's nothing wrong at home. He's fine.
Yeah, of course not.
His lower arms hug Mad Lab because of the height thing. The upper arms just pat his head. Just pat, 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 pat. But the lower arms do hug though, and it is still a stiff hug. But he's getting a little better at it. He's getting a little better at it, and the dinner critters actually do crawl up and go corporeal to join the hug.
Aw. Red probably comes and joins and nuzzles and joins the hug too.
And just Big Red nearly knocks Roguefort over, but Roguefort's fine. Roguefort's fine. But if we are to begin your training, then the first thing we need to test are your survival skills. How would you feel about a camping trip?
Yeah, camping trip, camping trip, camping trip. He's just like jumping up and down, and that like kitty, just like yeah, very excited.
Well, let us continue with trying to teach Red some tricks and some obedience training, and later on we can try and schedule a camping trip to get you a little more in touch with nature. After all, my training took place solely in the Feywild. Yours will be taking place in the material plane. There is a difference between the two, and I also need to acclimate to that.
Yeah, that's fair. I got a little bit of training kind of already. Say I was helped out by another ranger. They weren't like a swarm keeper or anything. They were more of a hunter. But
Oh yeah, clearly they were not me.
yeah,
And
but
you can see the way he pumps his chest out a bit. Like clearly none of them were me.
yeah, yeah. But Eeny Mighty Mo are very nice if you ever get to meet them.
You can see the buffering icon in his head of Eeny Miny Mo. Isn't that meant to be like a picking game? Somebody points between themselves. Like his brain's trying to think of, is he talking about people or is he talking about the way he chooses mentors? Is it an Eeny Miny Mo system? Or is Eeny Miny Mo a name?
And Mad
Or
Lad probably sees that as just like Eeny Mighty Mo is a person, but they're one bird with three heads.
makes sense. I thought you were talking about having three other mentors. That would have been very confusing.
No, I mean Carmedia tried to teach me some druid stuff once. That was
Mm.
fun.
Druidic magic is inherently interconnected to the ranger training as well, so that would make sense.
Yeah,
Of course, I cannot train you in the art of druidry. I would train you in the art of hunting.
yeah, which I need, which I want to. I want to be a good hunter. I'm really good at taking stuff down. I have never lost a fight. Ever since I came to Inkwell, I have never lost a fight.
Would you like to try one?
Yeah.
And he's just going to, first thing, he's not going to do it immediately because he is going to continue for the moment with the tree training toward the bug.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to teach him like every single dog trick, but sit and stay are the ones he tries to focus on first. Because getting Red to stay is important and making sure Red doesn't destroy a room.
Yeah, exactly. Wait,
So, continue.
no, it's like, yeah, exactly. We don't want the grandpas coming down on them.
Mm-hmm. But, let me take a bite of something real quick.
Yeah, let me go to the restroom really quickly if we're gonna continue doing this.
Yeah, no, at break time we can pause the recording here.
Alrighty, I am back. Ugh. How are we doing in the peanut gallery? Yeah. Yes, I agree. Mike just said. I can feel the Pepe Sylvia energy coming from Sorte right now. And Sorte is just like, thank you, this is the highest of compliment. But yeah, did not expect to get angsty for today. Oh well, things happen. And we never said it couldn't happen.
I have unmuted. I have finished my second sandwich.
Nice.
I am good to go.
I'm
But
good. I'm good when you're ready. Ready to go.
do you want me to roll animal handling to see how well the stay and, you know, heal, follow, just stay and come commands would go?
Let's go for it. Why not?
Okay, so that is animal handling plus. We're gonna make two rolls. This is not an advantage roll. This is just for two different points of trying to get the command to go through. So
Mm-hmm. Oh
first
yeah.
one is a nat one. So he tries to pull up the Macron, and I'm pretty sure that Red just bulldozes him for it.
Yeah, Red just bulldozes him.
The second, only after having Mad Lad on standby, and Mad Lad is holding the Macaron, and Roguefort is keeping Red under lock and key.
Yeah, I say the first try was Roguefort doing it himself. It didn't work. Mad Lad had to be the one to do everything.
I'm imagining it being the dinner critter swarm that has to pry Red off of him, and he just looks flattened.
Yeah.
Like, he's 2D, he's not 3D. Well, he's like the other Toonkind in appearance, really, but still.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of now he does look flat like paper.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
but
once they reach a break in training, he goes, now if you would like to try a sparring session to see how much you know, you can go ahead and tie Red up on the side or command Red to stay put.
yeah. Mad Lad just nods vigorously and goes over to Red. All right, Red, stay. Yeah, I don't want you to get hurt during this fight. This is my time. This is my time to train now. And he gives Red a little kiss on the forehead.
Now, first and foremost, how much combat training have you received? I believe you know the basics, we?
Know the basics? Yes. And I had plenty of experience. Ever since I arrived here, I say I've been getting a lot of experience.
Wonderful. So for our first sparring match, and you watch as he doesn't keep his trusty hunting rifle on him. He takes it off and sets it aside. We're not using our firearms.
Oh, okay. Mad Lad. Let's see. He takes off his hand mortar, he takes off his palm pistol, he takes off his pistol, and sets it to the ground.
When it comes to fighting in a natural environment, not every threat is going to catch you when you have all of your equipment. You will not always be readily armed for every encounter with every creature, be it a typical creature that is natural to your domain, or an aberration needing put down. In this regard, you need to know how to fight with the bare minimum. And he draws his rapier. Which, Madlin, I don't think you've seen before this point, but after that first hunting party, he got a nice new rapier in place of his sort of shoddy looking old one.
Yeah, Mad Lad.
Nice. It's got a blue handle. It looks pretty fancy.
Yeah, Mad Lad points it out. He's like, "Ooh, you got a new sword. Nice."
Thank you. It was a gift from young Otto. It's rather nice, I do think. And he just glanced it over a little.
Oh, I don't know who that is, but I'm glad it made you happy.
Now, do you have any close range weaponry?
Yeah. And Mad Lad pulls out his pirate sword.
Alright. Now, you need to keep an eye out for any and every ability that the creature you are facing against can use against you. I am not going to tell you anything about me. I just want you to watch me and see what you can recognize and what you can learn. Oui?
Mad Lad nods. All right.
And of course, they're kind of gonna. I am gonna have us roll initiative, but we're gonna pay. They're kind of circling each other first. I would like to imagine because Roguefort just naturally when he starts sparring with somebody, he just goes into a circling motion.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
So that is a 1d20 plus his dexterity is 4. That's
Yeah.
what initiative is. So
Yeah, dexterity plus, depending on what class you are, you get bonuses.
mm-hmm. Roguefort, buddy, you continue to present yourself
Yeah.
Actually, just remembered something. Hang on, I have to look something up real quick.
Mm.
Roll 20, why do you continue to disappoint me? Do I really have to pull up 5e tools for this thing? Give me just a minute. Okay, I didn't know if his fun little magic sword gave him advantage on initiative or not.
That's
And I need to
fair.
double check
Yeah.
his abilities to make sure, because I don't believe he gets advantage on it, but I have to double check.
That's fair. That's fair.
So let's see. Yeah, swarm keeper, swarm keeper magic, swarm appearance, da da da. Fighting style. Yes, we're aware of this part. Let's see. And Mad Lad is not the race of any of his preferred enemies, so there is that.
Ah, you're using the old one. Okay, cool. Good to know. I'm using I'm using Tasha's version for Mad Lad.
Mm-hmm. He was made with the original version, so yeah.
Fair enough, which is fair.
Mm-hmm. It also reflects just his age as a fairy. He of course uses the old-fashioned one.
Mhm.
But hey, learning about the old-fashioned is good for surviving against the new.
Indeed, indeed.
And none of these things. Yeah, if it was a favorite enemy, he would get some boons, but you're just a little boy. You were just a little Toonkind human-looking boy. I figured you were fine.
Oh.
And I am going to copy and paste our initiative somewhere. That way I can just recognize when we start making a bunch more rolls.
Yeah, yeah.
And Roguefort is at full hit points, so his initiative total is 5, yours is 13, so. He is both encounters he's had this session, he's rolled low. Like, buddy, you good? You good?
Sometimes it be like that.
Sometimes it do be like that. Let me take a sip of cider real quick before we begin. Whoop! If you heard a clatter, no, you didn't. That was a spoon.
Of course.
Ugh, I'll probably have to reheat that cider when I get the chance, but eh. Give me just a minute. I'm gonna finesse that again. And now we're keeping it under the basis that for the moment you are all doing non-lethal damage.
Oh yeah, we're keeping underneath the base of that. This is all non-lethal.
Mm-hmm. So, Mad Lad, you're first, and Red is out of this initiative, so it is just you and just Roguefort.
Yep. Red is sitting like a good little boy. He's just sitting on the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
And Mad Lad smiles as he. Let's see. He just makes an attack with his scimitar. He's just gonna go for it.
So he uses his movement to approach then?
He uses his movement to approach.
Alright.
Ooh, and that's a 26.
26 will hit. Roll your non-lethal damage.
Yep. Just making sure I got all the attacks ready.
And
Yeah.
I just have to keep rolling him wisdom saves every time you do actual damage.
Yep. Mad Lad is alright. Just want to make sure the damage. Roll 1d6 plus 5, which is 8, and he's gonna proc his. He's gonna also proc his favorite foe ability. So he's gonna add 1d4 damage to it, as there is now like a bullseye on, say, on his chest, on where he striked him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 8, 9, 10, 12 damage in total.
Even though it's non-lethal, you actually managed to land a solid blow on him, and whether you mean to or not, this spills a significant amount of honey-colored blood.
Yeah, Mad
And also
Lad goes.
pops his nice new shirt open.
Yeah, Mad Lad is going, like, this is all non-lethal, but Mad Lad goes out when he fights. Like, he does not hold back even when training. And Roguefort could see the glint in determination in his eyes. He's like, this kid ain't playing around.
Let me double check the thing to be sure. And I like to imagine it wasn't an immediate swing. Like, there was probably, just for the sake of flair and combat, a few parries, but you managed to find a weakness through and actually get at the shirt and chest.
Oh, yeah.
Probably managed to actually find a way around him, because he's not staying on the ground. He's sort of hovering as all this is going on. So you are fighting a not quite airborne, but somewhat airborne enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just go around and slash at... Actually, why don't you say where you slash at?
He's probably like, he's a straightforward sort of guy, so probably in the chest area, like we said before. It's just like, Mad Lad is sort of somewhat brute force in a way, so he just like gets right in his face.
Cool. Okay. I need to ask Ike a question real quick. Just a moment. Because that was a failed wisdom save. It's a DC 15 for Roguefort.
Oh boy.
And I'll say you don't have to roll for it immediately. I'll get the description when I get the chance, but something changes.
Oh
You don't
boy.
get to notice yet. But is that your turn?
Yes, that is his turn. He's curious what Roguefort was gonna do.
Well, what Roguefort was gonna do doesn't matter at the moment. Because Roguefort's not the one at the wheel at the moment.
Ah, I see. Oh boy. We'll see what happens.
It's a rapier of vengeance. Not that Mad Lad knows that. But as you actually manage to get it, there's sort of in the way the face moves, you think Roguefort would have smirked. And then when he descends on you, roll me perception. Let's see if you notice or if you're oblivious.
I'm gonna make 2 perception.
Perception, yeah. Let's just see if you notice in the heat of combat.
I'm gonna probably have to make 2 of them for reasons. But this is for one person, and then the other. This is Mad Lad. Alright, let's see if the other person sees what's up.
Now, I am gonna say
Okay, that was weird.
welcome back. I was very confused.
I was very confused too.
I will also say it's here's the thing. I am also gonna say above board, this is not a lethal, actually angry, evil ghost.
Okay, that's fair.
But it is a rapier of vengeance. If our audience would like to look up what that is, by all means.
Yeah.
So the other person doesn't notice, but Mad Lad, you notice that as soon as Roguefort looks down and then makes his move to counter, his eyes are no longer the usual color for Roguefort's eyes. It's not the same beady black as the dinner critter eyes, because his eyes before he turned were blue, but they were
Mm-hmm.
a darker blue.
Uh-huh.
Now his googly eyes are this bright, glowing blue,
Mmm.
which reflects almost on the sword with a different face.
Mad Lad is like, ah, shit.
Mad Lad for a moment's like, oh no, I picked a mentor that has a similar thing that I do. Uh-oh.
Yeah. Mad Lad is just like,
So
Mad Lad,
1d20 plus 8.
yeah, I was gonna say, what's the damage? Wait, what did he use for, what did he get for attack?
The first attack is an 11.
Nope, that doesn't hit.
Next attack. $18.
Actually does not hit.
What
His
the
AC
fuck
is 19.
What are you wearing? You are a small child. What are you wearing?
He's wearing serpent scale armor. It uses it's basically scale mail, but you use your it's a magical item that allows you to use your full dex modifier.
Oh, that's insidious. Also, yeah, good audience question. Where did he get that?
He may or may not have stolen it.
You know what? Valid and fair. This is not the character that would support stealing, but valid and fair. Like, above board me, I recognize game, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, technically the sword was taken from a corpse, so you know.
Yeah.
As you do.
As you do.
But I will say for the bonus action for those, one moment actually, because hang on, I would like to show the spell description for what he's doing. Okay, we'll say that when he actually hits.
Okay.
But for the next thing, yeah, it's your turn now. And while you don't know what exactly is going on, and thankfully the other thing with you hasn't noticed, you have definitely noticed that, I've procced a magic item.
Yeah, Mad Lad is just like he doesn't know what this magic item does. He just knows like, oh boy, he and until the other person realizes what's going on, he can't really ask for questions.
Uh-huh. So, your turn. Roguefort is basically now, your blades are clashing, essentially.
Which Mad Lad is just like, oh boy, this is happening.
You're
And
still training. You're still sparring.
we are say nothing has gotten serious yet.
Uh-huh.
Keyword yet. So Mad Lad is going to make another attack.
Roll the hit.
Roll to hit. That's a 22.
Yeah, 22 is gonna hit. Roll ya smack-a-dacka.
I was gonna say, yeah. Again, I see Bad Lad when he's fighting, I gesture.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you and Roguefort were having fun.
Yes.
Roguefort did agree to it.
Mhm. That's an 8 plus roll 1d4 for the focus. It's only one, so it's a 9.
He is looking significantly bloodied up. You are drawing more blood than perhaps you think is intentional.
Yeah, maybe, but also Mad Lad doesn't go isn't he
Mm-hmm.
goes all out and now he does like I proc something. I better end this quickly.
But that was your first attack.
Yes, it is. He needs to make his second attack. Yeah, yep. I look at Mad Lad.
Roll your damage.
Yep, that was a 25 for the audience. 1d6 plus 5. Oh, that's max. Roll 1d4. 2. So that's a 13.
That pops him to precisely 0. How would you like to take down Roguefort?
Mad Lad is probably gonna use his size to his advantage and sweep his feet underneath Roguefort and make him fall to the ground, and then then get on top of him and point his sword to his neck.
Now, you are staring down at Roguefort. He still has his weapon, but you obviously have him to where he's been defeated. The eyes are still glowing blue, however. But they're just staring as the upper pair of hands are lifted up in surrender, while the lower pair still has the grip on the blade. But he's just staring. Watching. Waiting.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure now they're looking eye to eye. See, Mad's like, Alexander, what am I looking at? You're better at this. And Alexander, because he's a blood hunter, gets advantage at Arcana.
Go ahead. Though, do you say that out loud?
Yeah, it's very soft. But yes, he does say that out loud.
Do you think he would be able to hear that when you say that?
It's fair to say he probably would, but it's very quick.
You hear an accent that is distinctly not French, and a voice that is distinctly not Roquefort's ask. And who would Alexander be?
That is just like, oh boy, this thing is sentient. Not good. Soon, but not good. But say Alexander got a 18.
It's not a sentient magic weapon. It's a possessed magic weapon. It's a ghost. Undead. But you don't get a malicious feeling off of it.
Say Alexander just smirks in his head. It's like, put me on that, lad. And you see red veins come up from his chest area to half his face. One half of an eye is blood red as the red veins crawl across one half of a body. I'm Alexander. You're speaking to him right now, and I'm curious. Who are you?
There's a thought. But unfortunately Alexander has poor timing because as he's asking that, the glow is fading. I don't believe that's any of your business, is it, sir?
No. Well, maybe. You're using his mentor.
I am hosting my partner for the moment, and I would appreciate if you addressed it as such.
Partner? What kind of relationship, if I may ask? As his arm, the arm with the veins, the arm with the veins slowly turn all red as it turns into a red blade, and that replaces his sort of makes a cross section with the other blade. Oh, do tell.
Work relations, sir.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. You were a little muffled. Say that again.
Work relations, sir.
Work relations.
Speaking of which, and then you watch the blue turn off, and Roguefort looks real fucking confused. But not toward the blade, it's more toward, you know.
Alexander looks a little bit surprised. And then, just a little small smirk. I see that we're out of time now. Pity. I was curious to see what was going. Now, as Alexander points toward, uses his blade and points towards the rapier. That sword of yours. It's possessed.
Yes, I am aware of this part. And he actually clutches it closer away from him now, no longer pointing it.
I just find it interesting at all. And honestly, it's ironic that him would find a mentor like me.
Fascinating. Where in this conversation did I ask?
You didn't. I'm in charge now.
I'm sure you are. Mad lad, boy, the fight is over.
I
And he actually reaches one hand up to just politely pat the other sword. Just politely pat, like, I've been pinned. Congrats. We need to move to phase 2 of sparring. Hello.
he I said I'm in control. Now, I'm curious. Where did you get that blade?
None of your business. I have none with you.
Oh. You have all the business with me if you're business with him. And
He is just holding the blade close.
oh, don't worry, I'm not gonna break it or nothing. You two said you had a work relationship. I just find that curious.
He glances down to the rapier, then back up to Alexander. Can I insight check him to see if telling him a little would satisfy him enough to, get him out of
Oh,
the driver's seat?
and say, just the natural insight would tell him, yeah, that would probably maybe get him to bug off.
Yeah. An 11, I assume, would. Yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
I happened to find this blade by means of a gift from one of my friends after we dealt with a team of cultists. It used to belong to an adventurer, but the spirit inside is not that adventurer. He's a sailor. And we agreed to help one another. That is what we've done. That is it.
See, was that so hard? As the blade retracts and turns back into an arm.
Now, if you please, I would like to patch up and continue sparring. Because
Oh,
he is still bleeding honey, mind you.
oh, very well. That was fun while it lasted, as the veins go back inside to his chest, and the one red eye on his left side turns back into brown, as Madlab takes a breath.
Yeah, Roguefort doesn't look that great under you, by the way.
Yeah,
Mostly because he's been bleeding for more than a minute now. Kind of maybe needs that patched before you can continue sparring.
uh, yeah, that was Alexander. Let's get you patched up. As he just hurriedly gets off Roguefort.
Roguefort doesn't really get up. He just kind of he glances down to the sword, and then I assume with you assisting on the medical run, he just starts using Cure Wounds a bit more.
Yeah.
That is still using spell slots that he could use in combat, but it's still.
Yeah.
So we're gonna try first level. That is 4. You're not doing great, buddy. If you would like to roll a medicine check, you can. That's
Madlab.
3. Come on, man.
Yeah. Mad Lad will help with a medicine check.
Go ahead. 10. Oh, now we're off to a solid start. But he's about out of first level spell slots is the problem.
Yeah.
Last first level spell slot.
Let's get what does medicine have for him? Yeah, that's a 5. Mad Lad trying to help.
Tries, doesn't necessarily succeed, but it's mostly you just helping clean up while Roguefort is, of course, resealing wounds, and he is still in his true art style, so you're seeing more that he's bleeding more of the natural colors.
Mm-hmm.
But there is still the honey color of blood underneath.
Yeah.
He's not fully healed. He's at 23 out of 34 hit points, but
Yeah.
he just sort of looks himself over and just, that was rather impressive. Well done.
Thanks. Yeah, you could definitely tell this kid is taking the compliment, but also very nervous.
So, his name is Alexander?
Mad Lad not. Yeah. Alexander. Yeah.
He seems
Alexander
friendly.
Helmont Belsing.
Above board, my brain immediately is like, oh, I know what words you've switched around.
Yeah.
I know what words you've
I'm
switched.
curious. Does Roguefort have any connections to any hunting groups?
Not really, no. As the hunter of the food court, and I'm saying this above board, he's part of his own thing, but they have no other connection to hunting groups in the material plane or any other planes. It is strictly a Feywild hunting group.
So he wouldn't maybe know of any other hunting groups.
That is actually an interesting question. Would that be a history check or general intelligence?
History.
Okay, so history is just a +1. Bless your sweetheart, little guy. 18, actually.
Oh, that's close, but not high. Say
Not high enough, I'm assuming.
not
Here.
high enough. He would recognize the name, but he doesn't know where from. Like he thinks he's heard of that name before, at least the Belsing part, but he's just like he can't. It's like he can't remember.
To be fair, he's had a lot of things mess around with his memory, magically speaking, so yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, it's just like
Also, ignore the fact I said that out loud. Don't worry about it. He's fine. He's fine.
Yeah.
But he has worked with other hunting groups in the past, but not for any long enough time to know them or make any lasting relation, because again, he is usually a solo act that works with the Feywild only.
Which is fair.
But he seems nice. Invasively curious, but he is nice.
He's gotten better since Carmenia, but I wouldn't say nice.
I've met worse.
I mean, he did try to kill my new family once.
As I said, I have met worse. He actually does look completely unaffected by that, but he is still clutching the sword close. I actually need to roll for the sword to reassure him because, yeah, Mad Lad is the only one who realizes, oh, hey, the sword's possessed now.
Yeah.
Actually, you could roll an Arcana. You could roll an Arcana instead of Alexander, see how much you know about it.
Yeah, here's the thing is that Alexander would have told Mad Lad it's possessed because of even though they have two different they can share stuff in between each other.
That's decent enough. But if you still want to roll an Arcana check to see if you can actually figure out more of the thing behind the sword, you can.
Alright.
Just for Mad Lad's sake, because having characters to share the info between is one thing, but it is still fun to have them do the role themselves.
Yeah. Stop doing stuff that I don't want you to do, computer. That's a 16.
See, 16's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
You at least would recognize that from what you've seen, you have heard tell of certain types of weapons that procced under such conditions. You attacked Roguefort in a sparring session. It was not lethal damage, however, since you did draw blood from him, apparently something acted up in self-defense. And that something, at least according to the fact of Alexander, and of course what you've seen, seems to be a ghost. So it's not that the sword itself is a sentient weapon, it's that it's a possessed weapon, because, as a 16 will beat, Weapons of vengeance are those possessed by vengeful spirits, who have either been bound to the weapon without their consent or are trapped in it until their business is completed. You're not sure which one it is for the ghost, however, but you do note that the ghost didn't try to kill you. It just fought back.
Yeah. Mad Lad nods.
Was Mad Lad, by the way, at all present during the conversation, since it was only
Oh
one eye
yeah.
that was
Yeah, he's able to hear everything. Yeah.
Yeah, no, then you can at least tell that, yeah, Roguefort gets possessed and the spirit can talk through him, but as friendly as the ghost was, it certainly isn't talking to Alexander.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
he actually would be a little more concerned with cleaning the blade off, but with a 16, you also would know that rapiers, well, rapiers of vengeance as well as any weapons of vengeance, are still cursed. Due to the binding of that spirit, any that attune to those weapons never want to be rid of them, whether it's actually taking them off their person or having someone else try to remove them. They don't want them taken off their person, which is presumably why Roguefort has been walking around with a sword literally everywhere.
Yeah, Mad Lad, that clicks for him now. So, you don't. How about we do this? I won't say anything about your sword if you don't say anything about Alexander.
Oh, I wasn't planning on telling anyone about him, but, yeah, sure, of course.
Thank you. And he gives a big sigh of relief.
Listen, when and he kind of glances at the sword for a moment. You don't see anything with the sword, but apparently there is some connection of communication there. Before he glances up, it seems like this Alexander was more curious than anything else, but mostly brought up the factor of picking a. Mostly thought it was ironic of picking a mentor that was like you.
I mean, he looks at the sword, looks back at you. I mean, that sword did possess you while we were fighting, so yeah.
There's almost a moment where Roguefort's mouth moves and the eyes almost do the color thing again, but he shakes his head. He just pats the hilt like, no, I can talk. I can talk, buddy. It's fine. I do not believe it is the same thing, but I can recognize that it is similar. We have at least agreed to a relation. And he just pats the sword again.
Yeah, we didn't have any choice.
I understand that now. But you don't have to worry. He's not going to. He's still trying to come back to himself, but he's not of any danger to any of you. He just acts out in defense of me whenever he perceives a threat. But he still has to recognize what properly is and is not a threat. And he glances back down to the sword. Not in an accusatory way, just slightly sympathetically. Before just leaning over to Madland and whispering, apparently he is a very old ghost. He's been trapped for a while.
Mad Lad nods. I see.
Isolation is not good for him.
I mean, isolation isn't good for anyone. Mad Lad just coughs and scratches his chest.
Yeah, they're just nodding sagely, just like, yeah, no, isolating these things, not good for him.
Yeah.
But still, you did quite impressive work with a blade. I really should get better with that. Then he'd actually kind of roll one of his shoulders just to kind of make it feel a bit better.
Yeah. Like I said, I haven't even lost once, even during training.
That is good. Just keep in mind you do not want to get a full head when you go into a fight against someone you don't know. Now, tell me, what did you learn about me in that fight?
Well, Mad Lad looks at the sword.
Aside from that.
You're very light on your feet. You like circling around the opponent, say, with a rapier and trying to make precise blows.
Very nicely noticed. I am a swift attacker on my feet who has a magical item. These are very good things to keep an eye for. Now, I am not fully rested, but if you would like to, would you like to try round 2 with the firearms available, or would you like not to?
How about today's been a long day. How about we go with firearms training later?
Understood. We could do that on our camping trip.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
He kind of would pause for a moment, and after glancing at the sword, he would then glance back to you and ask, "Are you are you sure the washed out watercolors are not normal?"
Mad Lad Drugs, I grew up with knowing one tune in my life until I came to Inkwell. So I can't say for sure, but compared to your swarm, it just made me suspicious.
Oh, well, I have to keep my swarm healthy at all times. And he would just kind of, you could see them crawl just back toward him, and since he didn't land any blows, they were still near him the whole time. But you could see them just clambering over the little, just the honey stained spots, and just sort of clambering over him, just like, "Oh, Papa."
I mean, yeah, but you seem very fit also, so it kind of seemed a little bit weird that you weren't also so brightly of colored.
Hmm. Well, we'll see if I can speak to someone about that, but you do not have to worry about that for the time being. In the meantime, Eddie's going to actually just push himself to his feet. How about I get inside, get cleaned up, and after a little bit more time spent with Red, you help me make some macarons properly.
All right, sounds good. And Mad Lad is just smiling and going back over to his firearms to like put them back on his person before following him inside.
And yeah, just as you're getting your stuff, and of course you're just addressing Red, because Red probably was at least excited watching most of it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But while you're over there, there is a moment where you do actually see, since Roguefort knows you're aware of it, and is a little more comfortable with it, you do see he actually looks more toward the sword.
Mhm.
And if there is any conversation that goes on, it's never with the actual any mouth movement, because firstly, no mouth.
Yeah.
But you don't hear anything, but clearly there is a sort of conversation, but it is still mostly just he still does look a little self-conscious looking at the sword, but I need to roll a persuasion to see if it can actually assure him on anything. One moment.
Fair enough.
That's a 10. Not much better, not much worse. But
Mhm.
while he still looks self-conscious, he at least looks to feel a bit better and just nods and gives the hilt another pat before, of course, heading in. And wherever you take Red is up to you, but if we would like to trail it off here,
Mhm.
Roquefort probably in the very least go take himself a shower before getting back to the kitchen to help you bake. And if you would like to, you can roll survival with advantage to see if you guys successfully cook.
Sounds good.
That
So
could be the
just
last roll for this.
yeah, the last roll for this. Let's see how well this goes.
I do find it ironic, though, that I didn't know that about Madeline. It's like, oh, hey, possessed little lad gets a possessed old fairy to be his mentor. Ain't
Yeah.
that neat?
Yeah. Oh boy. That's a 10. And that's a 9.
A 10 is not bad. It's not the best, but allow me to roll for Roguefort since he is assisting you. He just gets one since he gave his assistance to you, so.
I would roll with advantage then.
Alright. So, d20 plus 5. So 2d20 plus 5.
Yeah, 16.
With a 16, admittedly, at first you sort of struggle with it. Mad Lad is not the most patient in the kitchen, and macarons are a very delicate handed dish. But with
Mhm.
Roguefort's guidance and assistance, you actually, of course, learn what the right consistency should be for macarons. You actually help more with making the fluffy middle. And from the smell of it, it smells like he's making it in some sort of delicate flavor that is sweet but also floral. And you do smell a slight hint of honey.
Nice.
But eventually you make some lovely multicolored macarons. And while they're not like, 5-star, they're at least, you'd say 3 or 4-star. They're not bad. And you at least manage to keep Red from horfing down the plate.
Yeah,
Red
and
gets to
honestly
keep
that's the most important part.
Mhm. This time it's actually a successful batch that can actually be served or saved for the rest of EGAD when they arrive.
Yeah.
But you do note that when Roguefort is cooking, he doesn't use a cookbook that was present in the kitchen. He actually appears to use. You're not sure if it's a journal or if it's just like some leather bound cookbook of his own, but as soon as he's done cooking, he ends up putting it back. You cannot read whatever was in it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, overall, you make some nice macarons, you got a little bit of training, and you at least are started on the good path to teaching Red how to sit, stay, come, follow, heal, you know.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Because God, he needs it.
hmm And you do have at least an idea in the future for what another FPS could be.
Oh,
I
yes,
can't
for
wait to see
sure.
it.
Indeed. Hee hee. Oh, but
But,
anyways, I think that's a good place to leave it off.
hmm
Uh,
And when Roquefort does have a bite of the macaron, and I say bite with air quotes, he does the same head motion where he bobs it and you see part of it disappear.
mm-hmm.
But you can at least recognize that even though he's before anybody would get back, he probably would get back to his traditional art style, but you at least know he's more watercolor based now.
Fair enough.
You do still see him at least imitate the biting, even though he's not actually having the food solid.
Fair enough.
You're not sure what he's using to liquefy the food, but sure. At least he's kind of eating. He's just sad that he would probably spend like a minute, he'd get that little honey candy out and he probably would heat it up like on a stovetop nearby, just so he can actually drink it.
Yeah, I say
And
Mad Lad.
that's what it looks like he enjoys.
Yeah, Mad Lad just chalks this up to Toon logic and lets it be.
Yeah, just that is a thought process for future lad, not present lad.
Exactly. But anyway, thank you all for listening in on this FPS. It's been a very big blast. It's not where I thought it would go, but God, I had a blast getting here.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. I appreciated it, and hey, I learned a little bit more about Mad Lad, which
Yeah.
just slightly concerns me about Mad Lad more. But I think that's just the natural response anyone has after knowing him for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, pretty much so. Pretty much so. And also,
It's
I
just
have
like
concern for your character too, so I'm just like, say handshakes on that.
well, you
Concern
can
is me.
you can handshake with Spiffy and Otto on that one because there are now at least two that are considering him to be a parental-like figure that are concerned for his safety, and he is still trying to dismiss it.
Yeah, it's to say handshakes, concerns all around.
But it was fun. For now, that
Mhm.
is all for this FPS.
Yep.
Hopefully, we'll catch the audience next time. Remember to keep your masks on, stay 6 feet away at all times, wash your hands, and to stay safe and happy with your loved ones. Have a lovely evening. I've been Mikey.
I say I've been Winona, and you have a good time zone. Bye bye.
Bye!